No one's in yet. Okay. Wait a second. Lojane, do you want to come up? Do you want me to show you? Okay, let me bring Lojane on stage real quick, and then we can get started and present the resolution.
You know me, I would never reject an opportunity to jump on a stage or like have a mic.
Absolutely. You're always welcome up here. We can wait for a couple more people. Hopefully people that we're working on will come in as well. Roxana,
This seems like also
you
people
put
like
in a ton of work in. I'm super excited to kind of present it, and hopefully we'll talk in a bit about what's going to happen with these and what we're going to do with them. But it'll be great to kind of show everyone. Yeah. Was your connectivity okay?
It is. Yeah, it is. Don't worry.
Okay, good. Okay, we'll wait a couple more minutes and see if anyone else is going to join in. I know we have the closing statement of another speaker going on right now, but I do want to make sure that we acknowledge the hard work of people over the course of the whole summit. All right, we've got 3 now. I think that's probably enough, and we still have people in the live as well that I cannot see right now, but hopefully there's some more people watching there too. Go ahead and share my screen. All right, let me scroll up real quick. And I will zoom in and we'll kind of go through. First of all, we'll go through kind of what it is that we did for those who might have missed this, and hopefully you can join in with us next year. So the World MUN Day, yes?
Could you also like pop up the link in the chat for people like just to see it if you want to like scroll down, but it helps.
Oh, well, that link won't be good anymore because this is the official one. This one will no longer be editable, or this one's just going to go up on our page. But the old link, actually, this should still take you to the old link, so I can. Let me stop sharing real quick. And I can pop that old link in there, just in case, if anyone wants to go through. And I will go ahead and put this in chat. There we go, and then I will go back to sharing my screen, and then we can go through it together.
Yay!
Okay. Yeah, so like I was saying, the World MUN Day Interactive Resolution is a way for people to get practical experience on resolution writing in kind of a more relaxed, non-conference environment where we don't have country assignments. A lot of that's because we don't have voice, we don't have a lot of moderating, but I think it also gives people, the ability to bring in their own perspectives into the resolution as opposed to being forced to represent a country. We really want to hear what your ideas are on some of these questions that we're asking. And so, if you're looking at the document now, the first page is going to be a set of guidelines and rules to keep things organized, and then the following pages will be space for the resolutions. All participants have been in suggestion mode, and what happens is they were making suggestions, and in order for those suggestions to be made final, they would have to be approved and seconded in a typical MUN fashion. So in order to keep it collaborative and to get people to kind of work together and talk to one another, we limited participants to only suggesting a maximum of 1 preambulatory clause and 1 operative clause, again, requiring a second in order to be adopted. And then any amendments had to be seconded by another participant and the author of the original clause, and we did not want to introduce any unfriendly amendments because, again, we're trying to keep it collaborative, we're trying to respect other people's opinions. Yeah.
That's the least amazing part about MUN, like the draft resolution part. So Thank you for not including it.
Yeah, it's always a stressful part of conferences, and we want this to be kind
Exactly.
of a less stress environment, especially as we get a lot of newer Model UN students into this. We want to give them a good chance to, get a feel for what writing a resolution looks like if they're usually excluded from that process in conferences that they've been to. We also keep a suggestion bucket for people who have ideas that they don't necessarily know how to write into a resolution, or maybe they have, um, specific clauses that they want to include, but they've already used up. They're one premonitory and one operative. We want to leave space for people to leave that. And then if anyone else is struggling with ideas, they can look at the suggestion bucket and maybe take one from there and roll with it. The last thing we ask people to do is for every clause you write or every amendment you make, please add your first and last name in parentheses. And finally, do not resolve any comment not exactly finally, but do not resolve any comment or suggestion that you did not make yourself. I mean, that has to be done by the moderators because we want to make sure that, again, we're respecting people's opinions. We're making sure that everyone feels included in the space and that we're not, stepping on anyone's toes with the writing process. And then today, all suggestions that have not been seconded and approved will be final, and or those that have not been approved will be denied. So that would be now, and we have a final version that does not have any more comments or suggestions or can it be edited any further. So if you're looking at the document now, any edits that we're making at this point, unfortunately, it is too late to add anything else. And then we had some examples of what these clauses would look like, and this is what like an amended clause would look like. So that's that, and let's go look at what happened.
Let's
So
go.
yeah, this is the resolution that we wrote for last year, and then I saw some people were adding suggestions and edits to clauses this year as well, which I think is great. I think that might be something that we continue to do in future years as well. Um, Anyone can always go back and look at our previous resolutions that we've written and contribute to those.
We might
I
also
think
like
that's
consider merging them for like future into one like a big comprehensive resolution as well.
true. Yes, yes. Who knows where this is going to go? I mean, we're still in the early stages of the summit, and we're still in the early stages of figuring out what this is going to mean for us. But we would like to present these resolutions in a more formal way because, like I said, I think it represents, the kind of the youth voice and what we can contribute to UN conversations and what we want to see the direction go in for the future. So our question for 2022 was how can the UN better support youth and MUN organizations? Very important. I think a lot of students feel disconnected from the UN in some ways, and in the simulation, even though we're participating in kind of what the UN does, I think it can get lost where you know it's just a social exercise versus what it actually means to be involved in as a student or as a global citizen in the international sphere. So the premonitory clauses that we wrote for this one, considering the paramount global importance of engaging youth in the international arena, recognizing the efforts in the ECOSOC to include, motivate, and represent the youth, including but not limited to the annual ECOSOC Youth Forum and the YMUN, fully aware of the need for inclusivity and involvement of youth from different backgrounds, confident of how youth and MUN organizations contribute to the fulfillment of Article 1 of the UN Charter, being aware of the cultural differences between the different UN member states, adopting the necessary measures to make the SDGs truly universal, and ingraining the UN value set in the world's youth. Great premonitory clauses. And you'll see, again, the names of everyone's on the end here. So they'll be credited, and when we put them on the website, they will be mentioned as sponsors of our resolutions. And for the operative clauses for 2022, we had recommends member states of the United Nations to organize a youth-friendly platform that would enable all the youth across the world to invest their ideas for global development and for the better implementation of SDG goals. Creating grassroots organizations at an international level with the capability to have a real impact on UN and SDG affairs, and urges member states to support and encourage active youth participation in nation building and social development. encourages the organizations and non-state actors interested in youth development to help with funding and empowering youth projects and organizations. This is something I hear all the time from young people talking about how there's not enough funding, there aren't enough opportunities. I think there are definitely ways that we can increase that in the future. And maybe we can get more students in future projects to contribute more specific ideas on how exactly we can, operationalize some of these and maybe get some real work done. Proposed for you and organization
Especially
to
that
open a platform.
Korean is
You were
like
saying?
targeting towards like university and school levels participants, so
Mhm.
that really is an issue.
Yeah, absolutely. Proposed for you and organization to open a platform with careful selection to finance talented youth for their participation in conferences. Yeah, like this number four. I mean, a lot of it comes down to funding, especially for students coming from areas that don't have the same access to opportunities as a lot of students in places like the U.S. do. So I think that's going to be very important, and hopefully, we can get people to listen to this and to these sorts of needs that we're voicing here with these resolutions. And now we will scroll down to the 2023 resolution, which is the United States or United Nations General Assembly's Sixth Committee, which is the legal committee, answering the question of how can the UN include the youth voice in upholding the rule of law. As our theme this year was rule of law, we really wanted to emphasize how youth can engage with these sort of international norms and international rules on a broader scale. And so our first premonitory clause is welcoming the voice of youth to join a multi generational discussion for world peace as well as law and order. Considering that the youth is the future of our society is essential for them to be aware of the importance of the rule of law. Absolutely, Roxana. Encouraging youth to join initiatives for development and innovation on rule of law by Adele A. Again, great operative clauses that I think really speak to what we want to see, right? It's a very idealistic way of looking at it. And I think that's what we want to push here. And I think that's important that all of you have kind of taken that on and embodied that in this resolution. Uh, Calls for member states to uphold the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child, 1989. Respect of the child has to say and report, listen to, and expand on the ideas they present. I mean, the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child is so important, especially now as we feel like rule of law is kind of getting weaker. We want to look at the conventions that we like and like the structures that we find are the most important to keep hold of some of those values that we find so I don't want to keep saying it, but we really find them important. And we want to make sure that these resolutions are a way for us to vocalize that and highlight where we see the biggest issue areas are currently. Recommends member states of the United Nations to create a uniform or an informative app for youth worldwide that will regularly post up to date international opportunities for them to get involved, as well as tools they can use and news about what's been done so far for the youngsters when it comes to preserving and promoting the rule of law. I mean, this is a great idea, Roxana. I don't know what that will. I know the UN has several news apps that I follow, but I don't think they talk specifically about opportunities because I think that's distributed between the different bodies. But if there was, an informative app that was able to take all of the different opportunities that the UN has available and was able to post all of those and keep people up to date, I think that would be incredible. Um, we just need to figure out a way for them to do it. But it's great to have here. And again, if we can get people to see this and listen to it, then um, I think that
I
would
mean,
be
I might
absolutely incredible.
this is like really a very important point to add here is like also like the way that the news and updates have been like communicate with the youth. They really need to like come on board and how like technology is like really changing these days. It's not like a blog post is or how it used to be. So like even like posting it on LinkedIn is not enough.
hmm hmm And then, like our final operative clause, encourages member states to entrain more factual and explanatory conferences and sessions, both in person and online, to inform youth on the development, advancement, and protection of rule of law. I think that's very important as well to target specifically youth and to kind of engage educators who are experts at talking to youth. Um, and kind of build that audience and build that relationship with the audience. So we're actually at our allotted time. I'll go ahead and stop presenting, but thank you everyone for Thank you everyone for contributing. Thank you so much for your time. I hope to see all of you contributing next year and thinking about your ideas. I mean, we might still, if you actually, we won't close it now. If you still want to get in that document and add your suggestions, we can always look at adding and keeping those suggestions that you have. Just because, like I said, we want to make it collaborative. It's not competitive at all. So we won't be super strict about the deadline if people want to keep working on it and want to keep contributing their ideas, because we want to hear from you. And more than that, we want, people bigger than us to listen and to hear from you as well, and we will do our best to make that happen. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy the closing ceremony. I will see all of you hopefully there. I will end the session now. Bye bye.